Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bruno Katumpa. We are speaking from South Africa. And then, as a community of Congolese living in South Africa and African from the diaspora, so beside the South African people, we're meeting today to discuss about the issue regarding these days discussions, the tensions, in the news. We heard about the attacks against foreigners, nationals, shops have been looted. These things have been happening from time to time. So today I invited Mr. Frank Asimbo. He's a brother from DRC as myself. He is leading also one of a small organization of civil society in South Africa. He will talk about it. Myself also being a member of the Congolese community, I today welcome you on my platform, which is called Africa Reconciled Spirit. I know the terms itself speak loud and it needs some clarification. So in my platform, I wish to promote reconciliation between Africans, and in that way, by engaging on different issues and having serious discussion and paving a way for dialogue and suggesting solution out of the problem that we are facing as a community in general of South Africa. So today I welcome Mr. Frank Asimbo. He will talk about himself, and then we will come back to the issue of today. And the topic of today is about xenophobia, because they've been looting, like I've said, in Pretoria recently. They've been looting in Soweto. They've been looting in the central CBD. So we will talk about the different aspects, political aspects, social aspects, that have implication, have had an impact on what we have experienced. Mr. Asimbo, can you introduce yourself so that our telespectator will know better about yourself?
Thank you very much for this opportunity, my brother. My name is Frank Asimbo. I'm the founding chairperson of the Congolese diaspora for Nelson Mandela Legacy. I'm a civil activist. Yes, let me put it that way. I'm a civil activist dealing with human rights issues. To kill two birds with one stone, I think the topic of today is relevant. The perspective of xenophobic attack in South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Asimbo. I don't know, how do you take what is happening? Since 2008, we had we had xenophobic attack. These were very violent attacks, and this continue to repeat themselves and becoming worse and worse. It's a very serious matter of concern. Mm-hmm. And then as we hear it in the media, today we have social media, you have a message of threats against the foreigners, and there are so many complaints against the foreigners. Mm. So I want to ask you a specification. I follow even some of the argument made by South Africans. They are saying that, foreigners have taken away their jobs, they have taken over the shops, and some are even saying that foreigners are not respecting South Africans. Some they say that South Africans are lazy. So, which I really feel bad about, because some of us, we have been living in South Africa for many years. We end up loving this country that we take as our own country. As on my side, I can say that I love South African people, and I wish this love affair between myself and South Africa continue for many years as between African brother. So, but still, we have very difficult time to come to terms with what is happening. Shops only of African are targeted. Last week or this week, there was a protest of taxi drivers protest, and this protest ended up becoming a looting of African or foreigners' national shops. What do you think could be done to stop this, and what do you think has not been done to address probably or maybe the concern of South African, because it seems like the complaints are very serious on the side of South African people. Do you have an opinion on that?
Yes, thank you very much. I think on my side, if I can reflect on that matter intellectually, I think it is a problem of education, first of all. Why? To understand that problem globally, we should put it in a global context. We should understand first the South African society under apartheid, and the South African society under the new dispensation, political dispensation and economic dispensation of Mandela. I mean, when Mandela came into power, and the expectations of the people on the ground. You see, the expectations were too big, and there's now a big gap between those expectations and the reality, the economic reality, economic production reality structures in South Africa of today. And another element to understand that is also that globalization, that economic context of globalization. Now, let me start by saying that, yes, South African people under apartheid regime were tortured and were frustrated. And with the new dispensation under Mandela,
and yes, Cyril Ramaphosa, Zuma,
under Mandela first, and Jacob Zuma and Cyril Ramaphosa, Thabo Mbeki, and whatever. Okay. Mandela took the power, political power, and she worked for 2 years, I think. She got tired, and Thabo Mbeki took over. And if they can ask us to be sincere about that, the economic stability, relative economic stability was there under Mandela and Thabo Mbeki. And after that, the president, Jacob Zuma, came to continue, but
now we start
feeling some degradation because of, not because of the president himself, no, because of that political leadership, South African leadership of that time, because they let themselves, they allow themselves corruption to come to them, not like president himself, like as a person, no, the system. So because you know all the scandals, like
before we go further on corruption, I wanted to come back again on the expectation, because you say that when Mandela came, they came from a system of apartheid.
Yes.
When there was discrimination, economic discrimination against black, and now when Mandela took over, it improves a bit, even under Thabo Mbeki. But as we go we move on to Zuma, things start declining, and you are going to corruption. But before we get to the corruption issue, allow me to say this. But for us as a South African or a member of the broader African community living in South Africa, we have witnessed some major advance because we have, for instance, on the level of education, the access to education has improved too much.
Yes.
Because the wide
I was coming there.
community of South African are black, with disadvantage. In terms of access to education, they have broader access to education.
Yes.
In terms of even the job market, they have more access to job than before. In terms of even of housing, we have seen a lot of development.
Yes.
The Soweto of today.
Even under Jacob Zuma, yes.
Yes, the
Yes, we
Soweto
know.
of today. That is a broad policy of ANC.
Yes.
So the Soweto of today is not the Soweto of 1994.
Yes.
Because if you go to Soweto today, there is a big improvement. You see supermarket, you see new block of flat. Not only Soweto, but in some of the suburbs in surrounding the disadvantaged area before. But still you have also some complaints like service delivery, and whatever happened on those contests, it end up in the looting of foreign nationals' shops. So now, as we move we move on forward, although we as a member of the community, being even of the African community living in South Africa, we see that there has been a major improvement. And then we have to congratulate ANC, because if we compare ANC, we compare South Africa to other African countries. Okay, although we have some other African countries like maybe Senegal or Rwanda, we are talking today of those countries who have made so tremendous progress. But we can say that by and large, South Africa has done well. But why is it that suddenly, because despite this good achievement, now we have this resurgence of xenophobia? We continue with Mr. Frank analysis, opinion.
Thank you for completing me in the way of trying to get solution to the current situation. I was saying education, and I also talk about the expectations. To cut the long story short, South African people on the ground never thought about other African countries' people flooding in their country. They never expect that. And remember, because South Africa is a young country, in terms of
when they're getting independence.
You see, so they were not expecting that. Their expectation were to say, okay, now that we've got a new political and economic dispensation, we are going to enjoy
ourselves,
our countries, the economic production, whatever. But now that the other people coming
to share,
to come to flood in South Africa, we, South African community as a whole, because remember I talk also about the globalization, which means the borders can allow people to come in, to go out, and whatever. But it is a natural thing to say people are fleeing like from DRC, from other part of the continent to come in South Africa, because South Africa is a strong economy. But in the meantime, by doing so, we are weakening also South Africa, let me say.
When you are saying we, what are you talking about?
I mean, we other people from other countries who are flooding in South Africa.
Not only African.
Not only African, but let me put it clear. Because, you know, sometimes when we say, okay, they are attacking only the African nationals only. Yes, it is bad. But remember, for the South African understanding perspective, they said the white people who are coming like from other parts of the continent, they are producing goods. They can bring industries, they can bring job and whatever. But most of the time, the South African, when they come like empty-handed.
You mean the African people?
African people, most of the time, I mean, they're not coming just to invest. You see. So,
no, Mr. Can I help you?
Okay.
Can I help you on that one?
Yes.
You have touched on a very sensitive issue.
Yes.
Because, you know, as the Congolese, I gave you an example of Congolese who came here in the early 90s when Mobutu was out, was on his way out. Okay, when you talk about investment, you have to be careful. You know, some of the building in town, like what do you call it, Carlton Center, even the Ponte building, these were building bought with Congolese money by the head of state. So this government official of some of the African countries, they have been flowing their money into South Africa. So although we don't know yet the figure, you remember even in the issue of Gaddafi, it is said that Gaddafi money is in South Africa. You heard about this recently. So you have a flock also of foreigners who are coming here to buy goods from South Africa and take back home, which is not really the case. I know maybe in terms of wine, and some of the products from South Africa are bought by Europeans, but largely the African nationals are contributing, are investing directly and indirectly because, first of all, they are buying a lot of goods from South Africa. And those who are coming also on how can I say, in a very informal business like the refugees, these are a group of people who maybe comes here without means and they struggle to build up some small businesses. And those are the people now that are at the center of the drama because these people have been targeted. So now, but we're saying that...
we are saying the same thing. I was saying this. In the South African ordinary people on the ground, their understanding of the matter is that most of the time, South African black people who are flooding in their country, they are here only to take their jobs and this and that, but not coming here in order for them to bring jobs, to better, to advance the economic status of South Africa.
Mr. Asim,
but what you said is correct to say. That is why I was talking about education, because you must educate
and
the
inform people
on the ground to say those people are not here only like to come and destroy and do this and do that. To explain, to say some of the people are here because they ran from their country, away from their country.
Like South African experience during this apartheid time.
Yeah, because of, one, the economic situation, tough economic situation. Secondly, because of war on their country, so political instability. And they came here to look for new opportunities, which is also natural. But the problem is here is to regulate. The problem is there because that problem to fix that problem, it is incumbent upon the South African government to put regulation, to put rules, and to put tough regulation to say like on immigration, to put tough regulation on this and that. You see.
Okay.
Now that way of dealing with this issue by killing other African nationals is totally wrong. Totally wrong.
Mr. Frank, I'm very happy that you mentioned those aspects, the government involvement or implication, the government way of dealing with this issue. You're talking about regulation, you're talking about the law, but we have the immigration papers and policies. I don't know how this is really
the implementation,
the implication of it. How is it implemented, and how is it operating, and how is it achieving the objective that are inside them? But we know, as long as we will have also conflict going on around South Africa, okay, you will have this flood of refugees coming. But it is a good things that today, for instance, we have in DRC new government coming into power. You know that amongst the refugees, you have a lot of them coming from DRC. It is a good news because this, with time, we think that the flood of refugee coming from DRC will reduce. So the more we have this instability in this neighboring country, the worse situation we'll have about the refugees. So even if you have
even
if you have good regulation, even if you have good policies, but as long as this flood of refugees continue coming into South Africa, we will face this situation. But now, the people that are on the ground, the refugees that have been established here already, who have legal paper and who run small business, because sometimes they don't have access to decent job, because that's one we understand. And we think it is the right of South Africans to have priority in this job market, because it is their country. And we think we sympathize and we are in support of South Africa, that they have really to enjoy the freedom and the economy. And then this country they fought hard for. Because anyway, some of the African people, they will say, okay, all right, now it is our turn, because South Africa, we had a chance to accommodate them years back in our country. Angola, who were South African there, DRC, Nigeria, Tanzania, Uganda, Zambia, where there was even a headquarters there. So all these days, when there was a hard time, there was an apartheid system that was very cruel on our brother in South Africa. So the rest of African country were in solidarity with our South African brother. I think, on my opinion, that most of the African coming here, they are coming mostly for instability. Can be economic instability, political instability, and instability due to this crisis and war. So, and then what do you think, Mr. Asimbo? Because we have to target also and have consideration on the causes of this migration. Okay. So it is this instability. What do you think it is a solution in the long term? What can we do? And even us as African, African living in South Africa, what do you think we should do to start addressing this issue and then addressing the root cause of this problem? Because we have mentioned it, the root cause may be the fact that now there is too much high expectation, despite the achievement on the part of ANC and the government, but the expectations are still there. So how do we really get out of this trap?
Yes, I think, thank you for this intelligent question, because we know that the cause of refugees from one country to another, it is because of war, because of economic instability, because of the search of
political and economic instability,
whatever. But what we are lacking in our approach is that we don't take responsibilities. We people, we Congolese, as refugee national in South Africa, as well, Nigerian, whatever. Okay. First of all, the first responsibility should lie on South African government to say, as I was saying, good regulation, laws, and tough, let me say, implementation of those laws, whatever. But on top of that, South Africa as a country should play a good role in neighboring countries as a strong political and economic country. You see, like in Congo, yes, we got a new government, new political dispensation, but it is not enough. South African as a big brother in terms of economic and political power must work with the DRC political leadership, government.
Sorry, Mr. Frank. I want to come there.
For the stability, you know, this problem is very.
Let me come in there. Yeah. I want to help you because we have touched on a very good issue. You know, DRC being part of SADC. See, DRC is amongst SADC's member one of the biggest in terms of the size of the country, in terms of resources. But I was a little bit complaining that, you know, after this peaceful passation of power in DRC, I didn't see Mr. Ramaphosa to the inauguration of Felix Tshisekedi. I've seen Felix Tshisekedi coming here in South Africa to the inauguration of Cyril Ramaphosa. So it is
that can reveal something.
Yes. So,
and you can't condemn Cyril Ramaphosa. And you can't condemn.
No. Let me come in. So we have to talk about this. Because now we see a shift, unlike the time of Mandela and Thabo Mbeki, when President Kabila was invested in power. Even before that, when he was chosen, Mr. Mandela went to see the former President Kabila. When Thabo Mbeki was in power, we saw him going straight to see Kabila. But we haven't yet to see Mr. Ramaphosa going to see Felix Tshisekedi.
Why?
So now, this is a matter of concern because what the issue here, the point here is that
is South Africa okay with the way things, political things?
No. You are going to the wrong direction here. I want to talk about the leadership of South Africa in general. You have seen Joao Lorenzo going to DRC. We have seen Kagame going to DRC. We have seen all these people going to DRC and engaging with Felix Tshisekedi. But we have yet seen Cyril Ramaphosa doing that. So my question was this. I feel that it's not only in the question of DRC, concerning DRC, but I see that contrary to what we have witnessed in the past, South Africa does not have a leading role like before, playing an international leading role in Africa and the region.
What do you mean by before? By before,
Mbeki was too much involved in the DRC affairs. You remember that?
Not Zuma? Are you sure?
Zuma was also too much involved.
So what?
Because you remember when we had someone like Nkosazana Zuma, she was too much involved in the first election, for instance.
Yes.
And South Africa was involved in the second one.
Yes.
So, but now we can not only DRC. We must just see the broad picture. Even the Zimbabwe issue. We didn't see really too much involvement of South Africa. Can you tell me why?
Okay.
Zimbabwe, even Sudan, we're having a crisis in Sudan. We didn't see South Africa going there like Mbeki did, like Zuma did with Burundi. So it's 2 minutes left. Can we wrap up and say something so that maybe next time we will come back to the topic? Mr. Frank, 2 minutes.
I think Cyril Ramaphosa just have got a few time in there, and I think Mbeki, we can justify Mbeki because Mbeki is leading a movement called Pan-Africanism. So he's there, African Renaissance. So he got involved a lot, and myself, we are interested in that. Jacob Zuma also got involved, but the problem that remains is why Cyril Ramaphosa seems to be
reluctant,
cold
to get involved.
That is the problem, because is South African government, actual government, interested in the way political things are going in Congo? That is also a big concern.
Okay, because we are going.
Now I think let me complete that one. Then our responsibility here is to say, like myself, we are organizing our people to get ready to go back in DRC, because
thank you very much.
Is the future.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Anyway, you know, South Africans have been in Uganda, they've been in Zambia, they've been all over, but they came back to their country and work for their country. So I think the same will happen for most of the other African nationals living in South Africa. That will come. But still, we have a position of South Africa that will always attract members of the region because of the economic interests, because South Africa has interests in the neighboring country, and the neighboring country have also interest in South Africa. So we cannot break those interests, but we have to manage them. So I think engaging in a discussion like we have started doing now